And we are bringing you, on behalf of Blacks and Jews in Conversation, a review this month, September 2007, of the 6th anniversary of 9/11. This show from the perspective of the students of New York City, of the, in this case, the seniors, a student entering the senior year at Stuyvesant High School, Ryan, who has been an intern with our organization, an intern in the court system, an intern with Blacks and Jews, and not just Blacks and Jews, having gone through our programming and having served with our planning and development. And now he enters as a senior at the very locus of the terrorist attack back in 2001, September 11th, from which the plane crashers were observed on the bridge connecting Chambers Street to Stuyvesant High School, a mere couple of blocks away from the actual hit. Of course, Ryan wasn't there at the time. It was 2001. And we had been there but a few months before, at the close of the spring semester in June, with our program on the Middle East. And I had made remarks at that time that stated essentially that you can expect increasing amounts of violence to come from segments of the Muslim community in the Middle East. And lo and behold, there you are. And then came the environmental fallout, which is, in my mind, worse than the original attack. I have discussed that with many of our guests, many of the experts on this program, and there are all too many reports increasingly in the press acknowledging how many deliberate and unintentional mistakes were made regarding the lack of protection, basic protection, foreseeably necessary protection was not given the heroes and the volunteers and those merely present at the time of the attack and collapse of the building, including Stuyvesant. So my first question to you, Ryan, do you hear, are you aware of any reports circulating in Stuyvesant now about environmental possibilities, fallout possibilities, contamination possibilities that have affected faculty or students of Stuyvesant High School, possibly as a result of the 9/11 attack? Welcome to Blacks and Jews in Conversation Television again.
Well, then, definitely, in our school, sometimes, especially now, since 9/11 years, we've been talking about some seniors from past years who have already been graduated, who has already graduated, came back, and they have a series of very serious lung diseases, and some faculty members have died. Although some due to natural causes, but one of them died to a very strange disease. I can't remember right now, but definitely there has been some talk that because we came back so soon after the 9/11 attack, there might have been some debris in the air that might have caused long-term health problems to the students.
Ryan, how many deaths have occurred before the, let's say, the normal or expected time of students or faculty that can be attributed to an environmental factor? In terms, now you don't have to give names, but in terms of definite environmental factors. If you would rule out a fall, you would rule out electrocution, you know what essentially I'm talking about. How many? 2, 3, 4? Can you give a number?
Prior to this, prior to 9/11, there was rare deaths in Stuyvesant. I mean, the students are very young. There are rarely any health problems that might cause death, and the faculties are although some might be past their primes, but most of them are pretty healthy. But this past year, about 2 or 3 faculty members has died, and about a few of the alumni has died. Some say it's due to the 9/11 debris in the air, but we really can't be certain. There's still many researchers doing projects on this, and none of the results has came back with any definite answers. So I guess it's more than the normal death rate, but I really can't say for sure whether it's because of 9/11 or because of some other cause.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is there are possibilities. I'm not calling you Dr. Ryan. There are possibilities. There's talk. What is the number of these possibilities?
Well, I guess there's definitely possibilities because a lot of these deaths don't really come that often. And some of the alumni that has gotten diseases, especially lung diseases, has been suspecting that it is the 9/11 is the cause of it. Even though they had the disease, they have not died yet. So, and most of the time they suspect that this is probably a long-term, I guess, effect. So you probably can't see it now, but I guess in the next couple of years, we'll be able to see more and more Stuyvesant alumni developing lung diseases and faculty members developing these diseases.
Have there been deaths?
In the faculty members, yes. In alumni, I don't really think so.
Well, we were in that auditorium many times, a lovely auditorium, and a year after we came back to the auditorium, it had to be evacuated again. And the students originally, after the initial attack, were relocated to Brooklyn, Bronx Science, I'm not sure, but they were then brought back to Stuyvesant after a certain period of time, 5 weeks, 6, I don't know, but they were in that auditorium, and then that whole auditorium was redone within about a year after the attack. And if it was redone within a year after the attack, one can only speculate as to why it wasn't done right after the attack. How much of the school program and the classes take place in the auditorium, Stuyvesant?
Actually, not many. Although we have a lecture hall, that's 2 lecture halls that's connected to the auditorium. That's often been used by teachers, and programs such as NJBJC they often take programs and they take place in the lecture halls. But other than that, I mean, Sing is a big event every year, and it takes months, and we practice in the auditoriums, and we use it a lot. But other than that, the auditorium isn't really used that much.
So how is our friend Warren Donnan doing? He is still teaching persecution and prejudice, and his class is full to overflowing, and people can't get into it, I understand?
Definitely, I'm one of those cases. I've been trying to get it. In the class, but I can't. Too many people want it, and it's really hard. But Mr. Donnan has been teaching really well. He has many classes, U.S. history, all these electives concerning government and policies and stuff like that.
Now, as a senior, this is your last year of high school. Is uppermost on your mind going to college or enjoying your senior year in high school?
Well, definitely the main part is getting to a great college. I mean, once the college application process is over, I guess the second term I can kind of relax. I have more time to enjoy, and I guess after the college thing, I can do whatever I want.
Is it a dichotomy between enjoying your senior year in college, or is it a conflict? In other words, you spend your time preparing for college and you sacrifice enjoying your senior year, or you can do both simultaneously?
I mean, most of the time we're still worrying about college. It's not something that you can choose because all your friends are kind of worrying about college. They're constantly trying to find out what other people are applying to. All these deadlines and these scholarships really leaves no time for much enjoyment. I mean, there's sometimes like vacation where you can kind of relax a little, but usually until I guess December or so, you really can't enjoy senior year that much.
Are people in Stuyvesant friendly in the competition for colleges and grades, or has competition intensified at this time?
I mean, Stuyvesant is a great community. The students are definitely very helpful towards each other. We remind each other of deadlines and things that could help other students. There's definitely competition though. It's a very competitive school in all grade-wise, and everything else. But I think it's more of a friendly competition where we help each other and we can help each other improve on all aspects and to, I guess, better our community.
You have examinations every month or just at the end of a semester?
I mean, each teacher gives separate exams, and they're split into different days of the week. Like math is on Thursdays, history is on Fridays. But the main exam, the midterms and everything, is once per term, and that's usually once during December and once during June.
Have you already been assigned homework and essays, or is that something that will increase as time progresses?
Well, I actually got a two-page essay on the first day of class, and it's been getting worse. I mean, I'm getting homework every day, and I've just been assigned projects that I have to finish, and it's very hectic, and it leaves almost no time for enjoyment, like I said before. And the college application takes even more time, and you have to worry about all these deadlines and other stuff that you have to apply to. So it's very hard.
Oh, what kind of a high school? I enjoyed my senior year. We played in the band as a drummer, and we caroused all over the place, and we had late nights, and we had the courses were basically elective and advanced, and we were prepared for them, and we didn't have the instructors who plied us with work as soon as we came in the door the first month. Well, what is going on here? You are in the shadows of an international attack. Do you study that? Do your teachers say, before we go anywhere, we're here on 9/11, for instance. You just spent today at 9/11. Did they have prayers? Oh, God forbid, in school. But did they have some memorial service in the court system? They had a memorial service in the Brooklyn courts. There was a wonderful memorial service with the color guard and honoring the fallen heroes and of course the court officers who ran in to save people and lost their lives. What was done in the public school system?
Definitely, Mr. Teitel, our principal, he has, during our morning announcement, we had a moment of silence. And a lot of my teachers, such as my English teacher, started reading poems that was read in front of Congress right after the 9/11 when they were in New York for a meeting. And some of my teachers started discussing about what was done after 9/11, and such in my government class where we talked about the effects of it and what we've done and whether it's right or not. And there's been some discussions, although not all of my teachers were as, I guess, active in this memorial service, but Stuyvesant community has done some memorial services for it.
He's a wonderful principal. He's very favorable to programming like ours and to initiatives, and he has to be concerned about security, and he's kept a very progressive and good control on the school, and I'm very, very heartened to hear that there was recognition of what took place, and you're in very good hands with him. And I'm interested to know, to your knowledge, if there was any faculty that thought that, or we're the evildoers. Was there anyone who like the left wing and far left wing of the entertainment industry, for instance, thought that this is a punishing arm that America deserves?
Actually, I have heard rumors of some teachers that were really not respecting this memorial service. I do not know their names. I do not know if this is true or not. But I've heard from my friends that some teachers did not really believe that this was something that we should do because I don't know exactly what happened, but apparently he was kind of talking during a moment of silence and some stuff like that.
Well, that's talking during a moment of silence is just disrespectful. I have friends, I have guests, I have entertainment buddies who don't believe that we were the victim, who don't believe that we were innocent, who don't believe that we were the losers in this attack, taken by surprise, worse than Pearl Harbor. That's the shocker. Now, if in a public school this was to be the attitude, and we are subject to this kind of calumny in our own borders 6 years after learning the truth of this horror and outrage, I would be interested to learn and pursue it. But simply talking during the moment of outrage, that doesn't rise anywhere near that level, to my opinion. So I'm happy to hear that there was nothing. There was a time in the yesteryear in the 60s when mattresses were burned, when Columbia University was overturned, for far less than this. And apparently we're not there yet, which is good, because we're in the middle of a war, and that always causes deep dissensions. So is there any talk of the Iraq War as you go into the senior year? Are the students diverted from dating, from papers, from finals, from college entrance, from funding? Are they diverted? Are they discussing the Iraq War, or is that not really on the agenda?
I mean, definitely. I'm taking most of my electives are kind of humanities based. I'm taking foreign policy, where we're heavily discussing about Iraq War, whether it's right, whether this is what we should do, and whether we've kind of went a separate way than we were doing before all these before invading Iraq. We were supposed to go to Afghanistan to fight the terrorists, and then we went to Iraq, and there were ulterior motives. And we talk about all these things, and the Stuyvesant community is very active in these discussions. The students seem to know a lot about these things, and we have active discussions. Sometimes last even after classrooms.
Are there instructors at Stuyvesant, or to your knowledge elsewhere in the public school system, that express points of view ranging the gamut? Do they go from the far right to the far left and the middle, or do they all stay in one particular point, or do they not express opinions at all? What is the average based on the faculty, if you know?
I mean, faculty supposedly should not show their political sides, but I mean, after talking to them, you can most of them you can see they're somewhat liberals, but some of my teachers like to play the devil's advocate, and they try to motivate the students to back up their points, and they speak for the Republicans. And I guess through all of this, I guess I have to say that Stuyvesant is a very liberal community.
If you were to have an activity in the school that you would be voting on to be the most popular, what would it be at this time? Would it be swimming? Would it be ping pong? Would it be the comedy club that started thanks to Blacks and Jews in Conversations, comedy judges? Would it be the Diversity Week that also came from us? What would be the activity of the year that would be ranked the most popular and significant?
I guess one of the most important to the Stuyvesant community is probably Sing. It's every year.
Oh, that's because you belong to it. That's because you're a singer. And to try and divorce yourself from your own participation and broaden the opinion.
I mean, the Stuyvesant community is behind most of the things we do. I mean, our swim team is great.
I don't mean to change your mind. If it's Sing, it's Sing. Tell us about Sing. But I want you to realize that the bias is potential.
I mean, even though I belong to Sing, it's because that everyone loves it so much. That's why I belong to it. Sing community, it's once a year. It's a play put on by freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and we compete against each other. Seniors and juniors as a team, in separate teams, and juniors and freshmen and sophomores as one team. And we put up plays, we sing, we dance, we do everything. And usually the tickets are sold out to 3 nights that we play, and we practice for months. And it's a great way to lift the students' spirits, especially it's usually at the end of the year where most of our studies are over, and we can kind of relax, especially during senior year.
I have attended plays at Stuyvesant. Former interns were actors. I've gone to the band where we were able to bring renowned musicians from New York Pops, and you have a wonderful director of the music department and of the bands. where you have like 700 students involved in the chorale and in the bands. And in the coming year, do you have any events that you're now looking forward to on the calendar highlighted? Are there concerts highlighted, performers or speakers highlighted?
I mean, the Stuyvesant has a very active theater group, and they put up a play every couple months, and that's usually very fun to go to. And there's concerts almost about once a term or so. We're having a Christmas concert that's specially made for this year. Mrs. Titel requested one, and this is during December. And all these events the Stuyvesant community is putting on, they're all very fun. I mean, after the college admission process, this is all, I guess, something new, something that we can do.
What are your subjects right now? What have you enrolled in your final year? Will they stay the whole year, or will they only be for a semester?
Some of the electives are only one semester. I'm taking criminal law right now, which is half a semester, one semester of criminal law and the second semester of civil law. I'm also taking foreign policy, which is only one term. I'm taking AP government, and that's for one term, and the second term we take microeconomics. I'm also taking AP Chinese, which is, I guess, easier for me since I'm a native speaker. Most of the classes I'm taking are pretty humanity based, but I mean the Stuyvesant community, most of the kids are taking sciences and math.
Do you find all the courses at Stuyvesant are an advanced level, or are some beginner and then there are more advanced after that?
I mean, definitely the Stuyvesant classes are very advanced. The teachers are experts in their field, and they bring us very thought-provoking conversations, especially now that teachers have somewhat adapted a different way of teaching, letting the students kind of talk amongst themselves and kind of poke out ideas out of us. I mean, they usually let us discuss with each other and kind of form group discussions, and they come in and chat with us. And I guess this way of teaching is new, but I think it works really well.
Do you find that your internship with our organization has assisted in your education and your growth, or just took time away from your studies?
Actually, I think it definitely helped, especially in criminal law. I mean, the things we learned in the classes took so far. I mean, I've already seen them with you during the working in the court system, and I think that it's quite interesting. And my teacher might have a visit to the courts, and maybe we can work something out.
I would look forward to that very much. And of course, we've worked with Stuyvesant for almost a decade now, back and forth with each other, and only for the good. As final thoughts, do you see a happy campus, so to speak, at Stuyvesant? You've mentioned the wonderful community. Do you see this year being that, or do you see this year with the war and with the terrorism and with the uncertainties and so on as tensions that will affect your senior year adversely?
I don't really think it will affect us too much because, like I said, the college process will probably take us most of our time. I mean, we'll discuss a lot of these things in class, and we'll take it outside class for discussion. I mean, some of us might not agree with each other, but we'll certainly work it out. And these things, as seniors, we're really not that, I guess, involved in them, especially with the college application and everything else.
Thank you so very much for being here. This is Blacks and Jews in Conversation, and not just Blacks and Jews in Conversation. Welcome you for the next